You paced to and fro the kitchen in the apartment for a while, making sure to cover every facet of the task at hand. It felt extremely daunting when you realized just how much time, resources, and preparation was required for the feat you were about to embark on. You almost wondered how anyone could go through this multiple times. It felt like you were back in school, going through all those exams again. That feeling in the pit of your stomach, like a rock was placed in there to weigh you down. You took a deep breath, reaching out to begin the process and embark on something that was way above your league. Measuring the amounts of flour required to start. Cooking, let alone baking, was outside of your skill set. Though you were the most precise person out on the field, whether for police assistance or your own pro-hero work, the kitchen flew way over your head. You've made simple dishes, ones that you would get by during your school years, but this was why Midoriya was always the cook at home, and you settled with just cleaning the mess afterwards, as per your agreement in the household. While you continued to measure the ingredients, beginning to put them together, the thought of the result welled up inside. You hoped by the time Midoriya was home from his day that you would at least have a cake ready for him.
Okay, you can do this,
you murmured while you eyed the clock. You read the recipe, made sure you had ample time to bake, and in hopes that you were exact, cooking was the next task. The thought of it was chilling.
I mean, you undergo law enforcement procedures. You're great under pressure. You certainly can calculate all of your variables when making the perfect shot.
You spoke aloud, reassuring yourself while you mixed the batter.
How hard could baking be?
You felt your heart race. You couldn't tell whether you were excited, nervous, or panicking. That was until you started the stand mixer. You immediately grabbed for your phone, dialing the one number you trusted that could help you in this predicament.
Hello?
Spoke Inko from the other line.
Hi, Mrs. Midoriya.
You spoke, slightly frantic, yet attempting to compose yourself in your tone.
I hope I'm not interrupting you. Not at all. What is it?
You hesitated, looking at your once immaculate preparation station, eyeing the mixer as if it were a creature from some unknown dimension.
I was hoping you could keep me company while I'm in the kitchen.
Your voice slowed to a halt, realizing how pathetic you sounded over the phone. Keep you company? You berated yourself in your mind for the lame excuse. Truth be told, you panicked. A light-hearted giggle erupted from the other end, only causing your face to fluster further.
How far did you get through my recipe?
Spoke Inko, as if she read your mind.
As far as the spinny thing,
you described with very little clarity.
The thing that mixes. Oh, the mixer?
Inko corrected, causing you to slap your hand to your forehead. Of course, it was called a mixer.
Yeah.
You sighed in defeat.
I'm the proverbial fish out of water. I'm not in my element. I need help.
All you were met with was a jovial laugh on the other end. You loved Inko. Ever since you first met Midoriya's mother, you immediately could tell where he got his mannerisms from, but also where he adopted his charm and his sincerity.
Put me on speaker and we can run through it together,
she suggested, while you immediately did as she instructed, placing your phone on the counter.
So, where are you up to?
Despite your panic earlier, you spent the rest of the afternoon conversing with Inko while she ran you through the baking process. As nervous as you felt, she was as patient as she was reassuring. A few mishaps here and there, due to any use of the kitchen appliances, but Inko pushed on with you before you finally made it to place the batter in its cake tin into the preheated oven. Thank goodness you decided to do something simple. A single layer chocolate cake with frosting. With the amount of trouble you went through with Inko, doing anything fancier would have been a domestic disaster. You wiped your brow with the back of your hand, exhaling with a small sigh of relief, looking towards the ingredients already laid out to create the frosting.
You're doing great,
encouraged Inko, while you finally relaxed after what you felt like forever in the kitchen.
Thanks, Mrs. Midoriya.
You spoke.
Couldn't have done it without you here. Oh, no thanks needed. I was just surprised when you asked me about my recipes. Yeah, well, I wanted to do something special and, well...
You paused with a smile on your face, beginning to start whipping the frosting together.
I did feel a little awkward asking you for your recipes. How come? Well, I could never be as good as a cook as you, but I know he loves your cooking. He loves it, and...
You continued to ramble on for a while, your nerves getting the better of you, before you heard a light giggle over the phone again.
Izuku is very lucky to have you,
she spoke, ending your rambling for quite some time.
He had mentioned a few things about his work, but mostly talks about you.
That caught you off guard.
Really? Yes, mostly your professional life and how well the both of you are doing out there. But I can see he cares for you a lot, and you do the same for him.
You stopped mixing by hand before you stared at the phone, dumbfounded and surprised. As if by instinct, you placed a finger into the frosting to give it a taste while you mulled over Inko's words. The thought of Inko's approval brought a curl to your lips, while you still tasted the frosting. Meeting her for the first time after a few rendezvous with Midoriya, whether work-related or personal, was a nerve-wracking day. You wanted to give her the best first impression, after hearing a lot about her from Midoriya himself.
Oh, I'll need to go,
said Inko from the speakerphone, taking you away from your thoughts.
If you need anything else, feel free to text me.
With your finger still in your mouth, you immediately returned to whipping the frosting in your large bowl.
Oh, yeah, of course. Thanks again, Mrs. Midoriya. Please, just call me Inko,
she reassured.
Speak soon. Bye.
And with that, the call ended, your phone screen alight with the wallpaper in view. You stared down at the photo, the selfie Midoriya took of the both of you at the ramen shop after the Heroes Association procession. You picked up your phone to stare at the wallpaper, a smile creeping back onto your face while you pressed on the screen, its live functionality playing the moment the both of you grinned up at the screen. waving. You leaned against the counter, indulging in the photos that your phone held of all the moments you and Midoriya shared, from being out in the field to a simple ice cream shop visit. You chuckled at a few of the scenes, recalling how you took photos with his phone, but he would do the same. If anything, a majority of your photos were taken by Midoriya while you swiped through the myriad of events painting your relationship. You hummed, realizing a pattern in the photos, seeing how Midoriya had become bolder as time went by. You couldn't help but feel proud of where he has come, now ranked 8th in the Pro Hero rankings and climbing. You chuckled at the thought, recalling the reaction Ground Zero held throughout the entire procession. You didn't need your quirk to notice that scowl miles away, imprinted on his face. On your screen, you found another selfie of Midoriya and yourself, him holding you close with his wide smile in view. It was a day out to the beach after a long day at work, the sunset light cascading on the sand and on yourselves. You swiped again, to then find the same image, yet you felt the corners of your lips immediately curl upwards while a giggle escaped your throat. There on your screen, Midoriya laid a kiss atop your head, a moment in time captured by him. On a whim, filled with joy, you set the photo as your new wallpaper, watching the live wallpaper of Midoriya staring at the screen before he turned to plant that kiss. Sometimes you wondered if he actually timed the photos well, the thought going through your mind about every photo in your album. Until the smell of something burning, like sugar, caught your senses.
Hello?
Spoke Midoriya, dressed loosely after a long day of work.
Happy birthday, Izuku!
Chirped Inko from the other line, bringing a smile to the young man's face.
Thanks, Mom. It's nice to hear from you. I hope you've been receiving a lot of birthday wishes today. I have, actually. Even Kajan sent me something.
Well, to Midoriya's surprise, Bakugo had sent a birthday text, short and abrupt, but a text nonetheless. All day, Midoriya had been flooded by all sorts of communication, from social media to text messages, and even the short phone call from close friends, such as Uraraka and Ida. Despite the work today involving a few run-ins with some heists and hostage situations, his birthday today was nothing less than ordinary.
I'm glad that both Bakugo and yourself have grown so much,
commented Inko.
What are you up to now? I'm on my way home,
answered Midoriya while he dug for his keys in his pockets.
It'd be good to get off my feet for a bit after today. Is Traveler home? Yeah. Well, your father and I are free this weekend. I was wondering if the both of you are free for a visit.
A smile crept on Midoriya's lips when he finally snatched his keys from his pockets. Both his parents had been nothing but supportive of his career, but also of his relationship with you. He remembered how nervous he felt to introduce you to his parents, hoping that they would approve and that all of you would get along. To his pleasant surprise, the meeting went well, to the point that he noticed how close you and his mother have become.
Sure, I'll see if they're free,
replied Midoriya as he entered the elevator to the apartment complex.
I think they'll be happy to visit. Great,
responded Inko.
Are you doing anything today for your birthday?
Not really. After today, Traveler and I decided to just have a night in with some takeout. The sound of another phone call interrupted his words, the dial tone ringing in his ear. However,
"Oh, that's mine!"
exclaimed Inko, a pause following after her comment.
"Can I call you back, Izuku?"
Yeah, no rush, he reassured. I'm on my floor anyway.
"Oh!"
Inko's words trailed off from the speaker.
"Well, say hello to Traveler for me."
I will. Bye, Mum. Suddenly, Midoriya heard the phone hang up from his mother's end. He looked at his phone, confused, before he shook his head. Perhaps his mother had to tend to something urgent on her end. With his keys in hand, he walked towards his apartment door, keys hovering by the lock before he caught a whiff of something burning inside. Panic surged through him while he frantically unlocked the door. "Traveler!" he called out, entering the apartment, throwing his backpack to the side and storming his way towards the source of the burning smell. As soon as he entered the kitchen, he spotted the mess atop the stove, the remnants of smoke wafting from the oven, all windows opened, and yourself with a phone in hand, your eyes bewildered as you spotted Midoriya before you. Silence entered the room. None of you spoke before.
"Is Izuku there?"
Both of you stared at your phone, with Inko's name brightly lit on screen.
Yes.
The both of you spoke in unison.
It's okay, Inko.
You reassured, your eyes glancing at the burnt mess behind you.
"Oh, well,
Started Inko.
I'll leave the both of you to it then."
No problem. Thank you. With that, you heard the phone hang up, looking away from Midoriya and at the burnt cake that laid atop the stove. You okay? Asked Midoriya while he walked over to you, noticing the shame on your face.
Yeah,
You started.
I just wanted to do something nice for you today, and, well...
You turned to reveal the mess. A burnt cake, half-whipped frosting, and a whole disaster. The timing was fine. The preheated oven temperature was set, but after your panic-stricken state, you realized that you had set the oven to a different mode. I grilled the cake. You ended, laying your head in your hand. Slowly, a stifled chortle escaped from Midoriya, causing you to turn to him with confusion.
It's not funny!
I'm sorry, he spoke through his laughter. It's just... You tried to bake?
Well, yes.
You simply replied.
I had it all figured out after I asked your mum, and then I had the timing down pat, all the ingredients laid out.
While you listed your process, Midoriya walked over to the stove top, sticking his finger in the half-whipped chocolate frosting for a taste. He smiled before he turned his eyes onto your phone, noticing the wallpaper alight. His eyes smiled at the scene, noticing the love that showed through before he turned towards you, your back to him still explaining yourself about the burning fiasco.
And then, after all of that, I didn't pay attention to the mode on the oven. Why put in so many modes on the one dial? It just seems so counter-
You turned around mid-explanation, only to be met with a sprinkle of frosting to your face. Another giggle escaped Midoriya, his hand covered in said frosting. "Well, you whipped the frosting real good," he commented, licking a finger of his from the frosting that drenched it. You scrunched your face with a pout, immediately racing towards the bowl of frosting before Midoriya outstretched his hand, dragging it across your clothes. You gasped in surprise again, noticing how quick his movements were to catch you off guard, before you found the bowl of frosting gone from the counter. "Looking for this?" called Midoriya while he took another lick of the frosting. "You did a good job on it." Looking at your clothes, and with a pout, you turned to the burnt cake on the stove. It had cooled down enough, you thought, grabbing a handful of it, tearing it from the cake tin, and throwing it at Midoriya. Needless to say, the pieces showered across the kitchen, but did very little to Midoriya, except for his slight recoil from the assault. You heard him laugh while you rushed towards him, grabbing onto the bowl, dipping your hand in, and throwing a chunk of the frosting into his face, point blank. The both of you circled each other, throwing and smearing the chocolate everywhere, stealing the bowl and running around any obstacle that could come between the both of you. Eventually, the bowl ran out of ammunition, leaving the both of you covered in chocolate frosting. Exhausted, you both laughed together, Midoriya hugging onto you despite the mess on and around the kitchen. "I think you did good today," he whispered, wiping some of the frosting from his cheek before having another lick.
Despite the fact that I almost burnt down our apartment?
You queried while you looked up at him. You spotted a smile on his face before he placed a kiss atop your head, the same spot where he did so that day on the beach, in that photo. You melted into the light kiss while the smell of sweet chocolate and the remnants of the burnt sugar still filled your senses. You figured this was his reply. Nothing needed to be said, except for the love he had for you. You wiped what little frosting and burnt cake was still on your person, looking up at Midoriya with smiling eyes, before he peered over at the mess everywhere. "I'll clean up," he offered, loosening his red tie and making the rounds in the kitchen, picking up all the utensils into the basin of the sink. With the sound of the water running, you walked up to him, hugging him from behind.
"Thanks, Izuku,"
you whispered.
"And happy birthday."
You felt his hand across your arms, rubbing against them while he continued to clean up. You pressed harder into his back, feeling his muscles against you, and the warmth from his body touch you. Until you heard the faucet unlatch from the basin. Immediately, without warning, Midoriya showered you with running water from behind, not bothered about getting himself wet in the process. You backed away from him, drenched, while he pointed the faucet back into the sink, a cheeky grin on his face. "Take out?" he suggested, before a lopsided smile graced your lips, shaking your hands in front of him and sprinkling your drenched hands into his face. So much for a special birthday dinner.